All right, so I'm back with another video where we're going to be going over pretty much a clone house and giving it like a rating. And in this case, we're going to be going over Scentual Obsessions this time. All right. So this is a sample pack of 6 5 ml fragrances. Pretty much what you do is you go on their website and you select the option for the sample pack, which then at that point you pretty much in the notes right before you check out, you tell them which fragrances you actually want to receive in this sample pack. I believe it's any of the fragrances that they have on the Scentual Obsessions perfume website. So he's got like different, sort of categories. He has fragrances that are classified as like exact matches. Other times he has fragrances that are just kind of categorized by, like the original sort of house that, they're cloning or whatnot. So you have a large selection of fragrances to choose from. And this, again, is going to be pretty much what the presentation looks like. So this is going to be the front of the box here. You've got your new Scentual Obsession on like the top and the bottom. And then on each side here, you've got the Scentual Obsessions perfume.com website. All right. And then you have that on the back there. Now, the one thing that I do like about this sample pack over the presentation of the Alexandria one is I like the fact that each one of these samples kind of sits in their own individual slot, whereas the Alexandria sample pack, they were all just in like one box, but they didn't have their own individual slots, so they were kind of able to slide around and hit each other. So I would say this definitely will ensure pretty much that, when you get this in the mail, unless your mailman stepped on your box or something like that, pretty much you're going to get these intact. All right. So just like we did the last time, we're going to be going over just 5 of these, even though there's 6 in this sample pack. I'm keeping it to 5 really for all of the houses to just try to keep it as fair as possible. And the ones that we're going to be going over are Cognac Delight, which is Scentual Obsession's take on Angel Share. We have Eagle Star, which is their take on PDM's Altair. Fascination, which is their take on Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And then Tygar Obsession, which is their take obviously on Bulgari's Tygar. And then the last one is Chill Obsession, which is their take on Pacific Chill by Louis Vuitton. All right, so just to get started, pretty much, the Cognac Delight, I would say, is one of the best that I got in this pack. This is a very good, close interpretation of, Angel Share from by Killian. This, as soon as you spray it on, you get that really nice bright blast of, apple mixed with like that cognac note. I would say it doesn't come off as bright and as natural smelling as what you get in the Angel Share. But I mean, really, I would say to this point, no clone has really been able to fully capture that opening, that you get in Angel Share, not even the Alexandria version. But this one is still, I would say, pretty much on par with the Alexandria version of Angel Share, the Brooklyn Fragrance Lover. This is also going to give you pretty good performance as well. So you're easily going to get, over 8 to 10 plus hours pretty much whenever you wear this fragrance. And the projection, I would say, at least on me, was actually better than what I got from the Alexandria Brooklyn Fragrance Lover. That one, even though Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, it is a very long-lasting fragrance on me. It definitely, I would say, is a little bit less in strength than what you get with Angel Share, and it is also less in strength than what I get from this Cognac Delight from Scentual Obsessions. I would say pretty much in terms of like its projection, pretty much. All right. So again, this one does give you very good projection, I would say, at least for like the first 2 hours or so. And then again, the longevity is going to be 8 to 10 plus hours pretty much. Overall, this one I would say is easily like about 90% close pretty much to Angel Share. So this one is really, really good. I would give this one like a 9 out of 10. All right. The next one I would say is actually the best out of, all of the samples that I got in this pack. And this is going to be their take on Altair, which is Eagle Star. So Eagle Star, in my opinion, is, I would say, at least like 95% close pretty much to Altair. I would say it's like a tad bit sweeter than Altair is, but that's one thing that I notice about Scentual Obsessions fragrances are they tend to have like an extra sort of added sweetness for the most part with most of their clones that they have. But with this already being like a sweet fragrance anyway, it's a sweet vanillic, slightly floral type of fragrance. That sort of extra added sweetness that you have in this, I would say, is only like maybe 2 to 3% more in the Eagle Star than what it is in Altair. But other than that, I would say this is pretty much it's spot on to Altair. Also, the performance on this is going to be very good as well. This is going to project pretty nicely for like the first 2.5 to 3 hours or so. And this is easily going to be, like a 10 to 12 hour fragrance pretty much. So performance, again, on this one is very good. This is extremely close. I would easily give this one a 9.5 out of 10 pretty much. All right. So again, this is going to be Eagle Star. All right. So the next one is their take on Bulgari's Tygar, and this is Tygar Obsession. All right. So this one, I would say this is an okay interpretation of Bulgari's Tygar. The main thing that I feel like that this is missing is it doesn't really capture that sort of ambroxan smell that you get from, Bulgari's Tygar, which is, I would say, pretty much like the sort of signature of that particular fragrance. Obviously, the grapefruit in that fragrance is also, a major player as well. But, that sort of, ambroxan smell that you get from the fragrance, that's pretty much all throughout the entire fragrance. I feel like you're really missing that with this one. And instead, what you get with this is, I feel like you get like an overemphasis of woods with Tygar Obsession. All right. Now, you could say that does maybe make this scent slightly more masculine leaning, because for at least from what I understand is Tygar is supposed to be like a unisex scent. In my opinion, it is still kind of masculine leaning. I would say maybe this one is slightly more so in that respect, with that extra sort of added woodiness that it has. But what I can also say is the grapefruit in this fragrance just doesn't smell very high quality at all. It does definitely smell very sort of, I would say, artificial. And not to say that the grapefruit in Tygar is a natural smelling grapefruit either. That's definitely a synthetic, smelling grapefruit. But I feel like the way that it's done in Tygar is just done really wonderfully. And I feel like you definitely can tell that this is more of kind of like a cheaper sort of clone of that fragrance pretty much. Now, this does give you very good performance, I would say. This, I would say, definitely it projects pretty well. And it does have very good longevity. I would say you're going to definitely get at least about 8 hours pretty much with the Tygar Obsession. And then the projection, I would say, is slightly more than what you get with the original Tygar, at least on my skin anyway. But it's just a lower quality smell in my opinion. So I would say overall, pretty much this one, in terms of closeness, I would give this probably about 80% pretty much. And just an overall rating, I would say this is like a 7.5 out of 10 pretty much. All right. So again, this one is going to be Tygar Obsession. All right, so now we're down to the Louis Vuitton clones. And what I can say is I was pretty let down by all of the Louis Vuitton clones that I got in this particular sample pack. Now, I'm only going to be, rating or going over 2 of them in this video. But this one that I have here is Fascination. So this is their take on Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And the thing with this fragrance is you're not getting all of the, sort of aspects of Louis Vuitton's Imagination with this. So when you spray this on, like if you're really familiar with Louis Vuitton's Imagination the way I am with, smelling that fragrance, a lot pretty much at this point, both the original as well as, some pretty close clones to that fragrance, you know pretty much exactly how that fragrance is supposed to open, what stages it goes through, and where it's supposed to end up. And I was completely thrown off by this fragrance because this pretty much, it doesn't open up the same way that Imagination does. And what I was finally able to kind of figure out with this fragrance is pretty much when you spray this fragrance on, it for the most part just kind of goes straight to like the late mid and like far dry down pretty much of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. That's basically what this does. It kind of like completely skips over that really bright, citrusy, slightly sort of tart and floral sort of opening that you get from Louis Vuitton's Imagination. And that's pretty much what this does. It just goes completely, I would say for the most part, straight to like the very end of the mid and straight into the dry down. So that, like I said, it threw me off. Now I would say it does do the far dry down of Imagination pretty well. One thing that I can say is as you kind of have this on your skin longer, it does start to kind of get better and better. So I would say in terms of it kind of recreating that far dry down stage of Imagination, this is very good. I would say it does it better than the Alexandria version, I would say slightly. It's not as accurate, I would say, but it still does, in my opinion, does it better than the Alexandria version. This one, to me, it still has kind of like that slightly sort of underlying, extra sweetness that these Scentual Obsessions fragrances have. And I would also say that it also does not have as much of the neroli that the original fragrance has, the original Louis Vuitton. So you are sort of missing out on that, I would say, for sure. It probably has about half of the neroli that the original has. But again, I think that the way that the sort of brightness and radiance is done in this fragrance for that particular period of the Louis Vuitton fragrance, I think that the way that it's done in the Scentual Obsessions, it is actually pretty good. You're just going to be thrown off if you're expecting the same sort of transitions that you get from the original Imagination. All right. So if I'm going to give this one a rating, I would say this is about a 7 out of 10 pretty much for the Fascination. And yeah, and in terms of like I would say the overall closeness pretty much, this one I would say is probably about 75% pretty much Imagination. All right, and then the last one is going to be Chill Obsession. All right, so this one I did not enjoy at all. I really didn't. So much to the fact that I wore it like twice, I believe, and the second time I just had to wash it off. I can tell that it definitely is trying to be Pacific Chill. And I mean, when you spray it off of the atomizer, it smells pretty decent, to be honest. But when you actually spray this and you get it on your skin, and really it's on skin and on a tester strip, when that apricot note, or what's supposed to be the apricot note, starts to come out in this fragrance, it does not smell like it doesn't smell like apricot. It smells like some sort of like really off-putting kind of woody smell. It's really, really weird in this fragrance, and it just completely throws me off. It really does. I would say everything else sort of around that, like the foundation of this fragrance, for the most part is okay. But again, whatever is being used to kind of recreate the apricot note in this fragrance is not good at all. I would say that for sure. So this one I would say is like a good 6 out of 10 pretty much. And I mean, in terms of closeness, I would say this is going to be about 65%, 65 to 70% at best to Pacific Chill. In terms of like the longevity, this seems like it would be a pretty, long lasting fragrance. I honestly though, I haven't really worn it long enough to really give it, to really see how long it lasts, because like I said, this is very off-putting to me, in my opinion, in terms of the smell. So not really sure if this is just like a bad batch of the fragrance, or if that's just how their interpretation of it smells. But I was not very pleased at all with the Chill Obsession. All right, so pretty much, man, if we're gonna be going over just the ratings here, in terms of the closeness of smell, pretty much for these Scentual Obsessions fragrances, I gave the closeness of smell a rating of 7.8 out of 10. In terms of cost value, I went ahead and gave these a 5.5 out of 10. Now, the reason for that is I feel like with the Scentual Obsessions fragrances, there's a lot more sort of hit or miss probability. So, in the case of like the sample pack here, you have these two fragrances, the Eagle Star and the Cognac Delight, which are amazing. They're absolute hits, I would say, pretty much. 9 or more out of 10, pretty much. And then you have the rest of these, especially all the Louis Vuitton ones, I can say were definitely, in my opinion, they were misses. If we're just talking about, again, closeness of smell and quality of smell, they're definitely, I would say, a little bit lower tier, pretty much. So that's why I gave that one a 5.5 out of 10. Presentation, I would also say, is a 5 pretty much. I would say the presentation is not going to be on par with, fragrance houses like Alexandria, like even I would say Okja, Montang, or Montang, however you pronounce it. So I would say there are some fragrance houses out there that have better presentation than Scentual Obsessions does. In terms of website and customer service rating, I would give that a 7.5 out of 10. I feel like for the most part, what's really weighing that rating down is the design of the website. To me, the design of the website is very sort of cluttered, in my opinion, and not as high quality as some other, fragrance clone houses are. Especially, if you go to a site like Alexandria Fragrances, Alt Fragrances, Okja, Zoha Aroma, even, those, fragrance houses, they do definitely have, I would say, better websites than what Scentual Obsessions has. The one thing that is keeping that rating up, though, is I would say Kevin Holt. He definitely, I would say, in terms of his customer service and how he deals with certain situations and You know, he's very, I would say, approachable pretty much. That I would say is definitely, you know, keeping that rating up for sure. So I think, you know, if he invests in, you know, maybe upgrading the website a little bit more to make it look more clean and professional, then I would say that that rating, you know, could easily be up in like the, you know, the nines pretty much. All right. And so overall, if we, you know, kind of average all of those ratings out, that's going to give Scentual Obsessions an overall rating of 6.45 out of 10. All right. So the Alexandria rating that we had overall was at 8.36. So this one is definitely, you know, a little bit below Alexandria. But I would say, you know, again, there are definitely some gems from Scentual Obsessions. And, you know, not just the ones that I have here in this sample pack. You know, like I mentioned before, their interpretation of YSL EDT is very good. Their interpretation of what is it, Joe Malone's Sea Salt and Wood Sage and Sea Salt, that's also a very good interpretation. He has a good interpretation of Tom Ford's what is it, Ombre Leather. So I mean, those are just to name a few. You know, he has very good interpretations of other fragrances as well. I would just say that there's definitely some fragrances that seem to be, you know, very hard misses pretty much. And at least in this sample pack, I can say, you know, at least about 3 to 4 of these pretty much were misses for the most part. All right. So that's my take on the House of Scentual Obsessions. Let me know what you all think about, you know, my sort of take on Scentual Obsessions. You know, definitely not trying to be harsh or anything like that. This is my honest opinion on these fragrances that I got in, you know, this sample pack. All right. So let me know what you all thought about this video in the comments. And also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.